Hey guys, Brent the horse girl here. So we have got some really cold weather coming in, moving in super quickly into our area. We're going to get rain first, and then we're going to get cold. We're possibly going to get snow and ice and all the things. So I wanted to jump on the channel and use this opportunity to share some experiences I've had and just some knowledge to help you guys through the cold time with horses. So first and foremost, I want to start off with, we are trying to avoid colic during temperature change. Okay, so basically the reason why a horse will colic during temperature change is if they are not drinking enough water and they're eating more forage, right? So they get that stoppage in their digestive system. So you want to try to avoid that. So there's so many different things that you can add and you can do, and you can take extra steps to avoid this. So here are just some simple ones. Know that if you have a heater in your water trough, that's going to keep the water from freezing up. So overnight, right, that time where you can't go out and break the ice, if you're able to have a heater or something in it to keep it moving, they make these really cool like regulator things that like move the water around. They make floating heaters. They make heaters that plug into the bottom on the drain plugs, all sorts. If you can put a heater in your trough, do that. It will keep your horse's water open so that they can drink all night, okay? Because when it's colder, they are going to eat more forage, all right? The other thing is not to change drastically the amount of forage that you give all at one time. So for instance, we have pretty mild temperatures right now. It's like 54, 53 out there right now. We have some pretty high winds, but well, for our area, we have high winds. But tomorrow is going to be 60. And then Saturday is going to be like 40, and Sunday is going to be in the 30s, and Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday are going to be in the 20s and the teens. So that is a dramatic change, just super drastic, from 50s and 60s down to 30s, 20s, and teens, just in basically a 48-hour time span. So what I'm doing is I've been feeding square bells between my round rolls. So when I say feeding square bells, I literally mean like 2 square bells at a time. Because I want plenty out there. I want more hay than they can eat in front of them. And I consistently do that. So as of right now, I don't have a tractor on this property. So my neighbor, hallelujah, thankful for them, they come over and set my round rolls out for me. And it's been super duper muddy. So to keep from rutting up, I've just been throwing out extra square bells. So the reason why I keep more forage out than my horses can eat is because I want them to learn how to regulate themselves. I have always done that, but you have to build up to that. So understand that if your horse is not out on a round roll right now, but you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's going to be so cold, it's going to be ice on the ground, and I want to be able to just put that round roll out there and not have to worry about, dragging square bales out to the pasture for the next 5 days or whatever, when it's icy and snows everywhere and, try not to break an ankle. Don't just throw that round roll out there. You can spend the next few days prepping so that your horse is a little bit more prepared before you put that round roll out. So one is starting electrolytes in their food. Whatever that looks like to you, whatever electrolytes you like, go grab some electrolytes and start that in their grain, right? That's going to help them to drink more and prep them for the next few days. Then start adding a little bit more forage to what they have now, and do that a little bit more every day until the cold weather, until you plan on putting that round roll out. Do that every day until literally they're sitting resting in the sun and there's still hay out, right? They're not engorging themselves just because it's there and they want to eat it all up and then, no. We want them to regulate themselves. So start by just putting like an extra block out or putting an extra block in the stall wherever you feed the forage at, and then just continuing to add a little bit more every day until you see that they're just not standing out there eating on it because it's there and they're regulating themselves. Now, I want to say a disclaimer here. Please talk to your equine nutritionalist if you have one, or your veterinarian, because every horse is different and not every horse can go out on free range forage, and not every horse is capable of regulating themselves. There are horses that have been starved in the past or whatever it may be, or a horse that has teeth issues or dental issues and their hay has to be soaked. So this may not be an option for every single horse. But what I'm telling you right now is that if it is freaking 12 degrees outside and you have got to have forage out for your hay, make sure you take the time to prep. Do not just go out there on Tuesday morning and throw a round roll out in a pasture of horses that have never had a round roll, because you're going to be calling your vet in like 12 hours. I mean, hopefully not, but I've seen it happen a lot. Okay. The other thing is, don't change anything like their grain or supplements other than like adding the electrolytes, obviously. Don't do a dramatic change when the weather is changing. Don't worm your horse Sunday when it's going to drop 30 degrees from Sunday to Monday. Don't do that. Just don't do it, because that's going to do some work in the digestive system, and you do not want to do anything in that right now. You just want to add water and add forage, and those two things continue to move through the system at the same time. You just don't want blockages, right? The other thing too is, I believe that this is different for everyone, and I just want to say, I want to just be so clear with this. It's perfectly okay if you put your horses up in the stalls for this weather. It's perfectly okay if you leave your horses out in the pasture during this weather. It's perfectly okay if you do not blanket your horse in this weather. It's perfectly okay if you blanket, double blanket, triple blanket your horse in this weather. As long as you know your horse and what your horse can handle, and you are doing what you feel is best for that horse's health, do that. Don't let anyone shame you into thinking that, oh, the horse doesn't need to be staying in a stall. He's not going to be warm that way. If you've got high winds and it's 12 degrees outside, I would want to be in the house, right? But if you've got a whole herd full of horses and you don't have the option to put them all up in stalls, and, it's better for them to be out moving around, keeping their body warm and eating forage, eating off a round roll. So if your options are, lean to with round roll, out in the pasture with blanket on, do that. Like that sounds great. Like, keep them forage, keep them water, keep them blanketed. They can get in the lean to or whatever under the trees, whatever. But don't let anybody make you feel bad for the choices you make for your horse's health in the weather changes. Like, just don't do it. Just keep your horse's health at the first and foremost of your decisions. And obviously, like I said, talk to your vet, talk to your nutritionalist if you have one, and just make the best decisions for your horse. But just don't make any dramatic changes right now, because you just don't want to cause colic. You don't want to cause a stress colic. You want all of the horses to be warm, happy, healthy, and full. Right? That's what we're looking for here. So I personally, like I started this video out saying, is I've been throwing out square bales because it's been really muddy and I haven't wanted to rut up the pasture to get the round roll out there. So I've been letting the sunshine that you can see shining in through the window dry up the pasture, and we're going to get the round roll put out tomorrow. So I've been throwing out square bales and keeping it out there so that they're not going without. It's consistently out there, so they're still regulating themselves. Now, tomorrow, before I put out that round roll, I'm going to make sure that I feed them first, right? So you can't always do this, because sometimes you need to put that round roll out at a different time from feeding. But here's just another tip that you can do. So if you're going to put a round roll out that day, and like I soak my grain in water, it's because I've had lots of chokes, and not particularly from these two horses, but I've had chokes. I've had severe colics, and I've just been in the horses a long time, in the horse industry a long time, and being an owner and a trainer. And I just understand that the more fluid I can keep in them, the happier I am. My sanity revolves around that, right? So I soak my grain, just what I do. So I'm going to add water to their grain and have it ready. So before we put that round roll out, I'll close them up in their stalls so we can get entry to the pasture without them running amok and acting crazy. And I will feed them their grain soaked. And then when they get done eating, I'll let them out of their stalls, and I'll have already put out a squirrel bale tomorrow morning. So they'll have had hay to eat on tomorrow morning. So they're not going to go without. They're going to get their grain, their watered down grain, so they're going to have water in them. They're already going to have hay in them, so that when I put that round roll out, they're not going to go stand on it and engorge themselves. and it's going to be 60 tomorrow. So it's going to be warm enough to where they're going to be wanting to drink water, and they're not just going to want to stand and just shove their heads in that round roll and eat until they colic, until they have a blockage. So that's just what I do to prep. I just wanted to share those tips with you guys. So make sure to keep that water busted up, warm it if you can, or heated buckets in the stalls, whatever you can accomplish with the water, but just keep that water busted up, get some electrolytes in them, and prep them for that free forage if that's the way you're going to go. And again, if you put your horses up in the stalls, good for you. I think that's excellent. If you leave them out in the pasture, good for you. I think that's excellent. If they have blankets on or if they're naked, all of it is excellent. Just, you know your horse, and just take everything with a grain of salt from everyone. But just to let you know, you're an amazing horse parent and you're doing a great job. So see you guys later. Oh, like, subscribe, and comment if you have any questions or if you want to talk about the subject. Bye.